Good morning, everybody. Let's get my screen shared and started. Okay. So Office 365. I'm sure some of you probably have a personal Microsoft account, like a lot of people have a Google account. So I guess today we're going to talk about what offerings Microsoft has for their online applications instead of their desktop applications and how it might be beneficial for the library system. So I guess the topic for today is Office 365, learning how to use online versions of traditional Office apps. So what is Office 365 to start with? Well, what's the difference between that and the normal Office programs? This 365 simply just refers to it being always accessible all the time. It's just like a 365 24/7 kind of detail. So it's just Microsoft, saying that this is a cloud thing. It'll always be available. When in reality, it's more like 99.999%, not quite 100, but and then the main difference is that the programs will just be run straight from any modern web browser. So your Chrome, Firefox, Edge browser. Instead of being traditionally installed on the computer, you would just go to the website and then log in to access your programs. So it's similar in operation. I know a lot of us use a Google account, and so we have Google Docs and Google Sheets. This is Microsoft's implementation of the same cloud feature set. You have a single account that you can log into and then access their the free tier for which we'll get into. Everything I'm showing today, there is the ability for individuals to just create their own free account to personally be able to use all these services, along with what STLS will be providing going forward. I guess right up front, I will say that STLS we're not 100% ready to make the transition yet. We are working with Microsoft so that we can get as many licenses for this as possible, and then guarantee that down the road they're not going to start charging us an insane amount for every single user that we start with. So this is an overview of what services are available, what we likely will be moving towards, and just to make you aware for your own setups. So cloud just means someone else's computer. So that's I like to refer to that. Tell people that when you save something in the cloud, yes, it's protected and it should be always available. But just like we can have a power outage, or a data center can have a power outage, or something can happen on the internet. So we always have to be aware that we are relying on another company's service to provide the application and everything that we want. And just a few more details. Microsoft hosts all these services on their worldwide data centers, which are called Azure. It's just the name of their cloud platform. And so let's get into Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So right here I say almost full featured. So let's dive into that. Let's get over to so Word, PowerPoint, and Excel are kind of the main three applications that a lot of users will be using to create documents, spreadsheets, and your presentations. So here we're just at office.com. We'll get into the logging in later. I just want to kind of give you a preview as I'm going through the slideshow. So let's head over to Word and create a new document. So right off the bat, you can see things look similar, but a little bit different. Mainly that has to do with this ribbon over here, which we can also switch back to classic to kind of get our view of this is more traditional Word menus. So when I said almost full featured, you get all your traditional document editing abilities and your formatting and everything. They're just some of the more advanced, like creating advanced pivot tables or using like advanced graphics and animations. Some of that stuff's just not built in, but like anything, you can find the resources online and then integrate them. It's just these are a little bit stripped down, so all of the bells and whistles and included like art and content isn't exactly the same as the Office apps. But if something was created, say something was created in a Word document on a desktop app, and then someone shared it to you and you wanted to view or edit on the web version, you would still be able to view and see all of the things that don't exist in the online version. You would just be prevented from editing. I must say that there is not that many. That's advanced use cases. So we're talking about pretty advanced formulas and files and stuff that most of the users would not get into. So let's hop back over to the presentation. Okay. So I guess one of the main things that we like about Office 365 and the ability to use the online applications is the ability to edit and share on the go. So no matter what computer you're on, so right now I'm in Chrome, but if I really wanted to, I could, on any computer, I would just be able to open up another web browser and then just navigate over to office.com. And boom, because I'm already signed in on another browser, Office 365, one of the great abilities is that it can take your single session, and then for every single one of the apps that we'll be going over today, once you sign in once, that session will carry no matter what application you're switching to. So right now, like we were in Word, but we can also click on this little, I don't know, I guess we'll call it 9-dot button. All these applications, similar to Google, has this little dot menu button. So we say we want to switch over to Excel. No need to re-sign in or anything. It's just like clicking over a program. We have our menu, and then it takes us to the correct application automatically. Okay, let's back. Okay. And so, yeah, the editing and sharing on the go, so allows us to, from any computer, sign in, even on your phone. You can do almost all the same things because it's just a web browser. So we can view files, edit something a little, and then send it off to somebody, not needing access to our full computer or the full desktop program. It's just reiterating the lack of some advanced formulas. PowerPoint, a few less animations compared to the desktop versions. But like I said, if the content was created on desktop, it can still be played and viewed in these online versions of the programs. It's just that you will not be able to specifically edit some of these more advanced features. Any features missing are still viewable, just not editable. So one of the applications, so we'll get into the whole suite that is Office 365. It is so when we click on the menu button over here, we are listed with our apps, and this is under our licensing, this is the applications that we will be allowed to use. Outlook, we will get into that because this also will incorporate our transition to Outlook Office 365 as our email client. Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote are our main programs for just our day-to-day. And some of the more advanced things that we will get into in a bit are SharePoint and Teams, messaging, and then a shared calendar in a way for actually us to share files and do different things like that. So for OneDrive, let's go there. OneDrive is included storage for each account. So where Microsoft is hosting these applications, they also provide you a little bit of cloud storage. When I say a little bit, it's like 500 gigs or a terabyte. So each user account has a virtual hard drive linked to, so anything you do in any of the like Excel program or Word, it automatically gets saved to OneDrive. And you can see here, like I have my XLSX files and the docx and PowerPoint. So say I just wanted to go to OneDrive and find the file, I could then click on it, and then it brings me right to the application that the file is for. Now, when we're online and using these online versions of the apps, it wants to save to OneDrive by default. So we can save a copy. Yeah. So this default location, let's see, pull up more locations quick. Yeah, so by default, it's going to be saving everything in this OneDrive folder, and you can see it's the same files that were listed when I was at the OneDrive site. Pull that back up. OneDrive. And say we needed to send or download to a USB separately, we can here click to share or download or create a link. But also OneDrive, if you are using your library computer or your staff, let's say it's your staff computer, each user can also log in to the computer, which will be kind of used for Teams and messaging, but that will also give your OneDrive a local location. So as you can see, once I signed, like I already signed into my computer, but you see this OneDrive drive location just says OneDrive Southern Tier Library System. It's the exact same files that I see online, and now they're locally accessible, and I can use my normal Windows or emailing operations or offline operations. So that is one nice thing about Office 365 is that we do have the ability to do everything online and save and edit and share if we need to. But also at the end of the day, we can synchronize everything back to our local computer and then manage them from a local device as well. So let's hop back over here. Yeah. So yeah, documents and data can be saved and accessed from all the web apps, which we showed, and the computers that are signed into Office 365, OneDrive desktop app acts like a new drive or folders. So that new driver folder is like this, shows up as basically in this PC. And if anybody has questions as we're going, you can just type it in the chat, and Erica or I will, we can do them as we go, and then we can also answer some questions at the end. Okay, so office.com for all your needs. So that's the website that I was going to at the beginning. So let's just go back there as a reference. So office.com, one of the most simple URLs. Like I want to work with Office, so let's go to office.com. And as long as you are signed in, this will take you right here. And that is one of the nice things about the Microsoft 365 login is that once you log in once, it is very persistent across the desktop applications and the web applications for quickly and easily authenticating you. So there's office.com URL. Yep, can open, edit, and save Office files just like normal versions. Yeah, and so like I said, the default save location for all the online stuff is your OneDrive, which for this business version is also integrated with SharePoint, or like I said, we can save to a local computer as well. Again, that simplified versus traditional ribbon. So if we head back to Word, do a new document. we get this a little more collapsed editing ribbon. We just get some basic font and, left and right justified. But I don't know, a lot of people have been using Word for a long time and they are used to the menus. So you can always hit this little down arrow over here and switch back to a classic ribbon. And this is much more familiar looking for most people. And Excel, on the other hand, so let's just pop over to Excel real quick. Excel looks pretty normal. They didn't create any kind of collapsed or simplified ribbon. So we can use this one as is using our existing Excel knowledge. Close some of these.
Tom, I've got a question from the chat for you. So when you log in at office.com, Sally asks, so this login is the basic format. Right now I use Sheets and Google Forms and things like that, but they are in separate places. But OneDrive brings them all together. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so all I have been doing is I go to office.com and I'm already signed in, but say if I signed out and then signed back in, it would take me right here. Kelly, I'll get to the security risks in a minute. And yeah, so Google does somewhat integrate your stuff. I mean, you can go to Google Drive and access everything, but it's not as single pane. Like you can see all your documents from presentation and books and all the other stuff. And I guess just the apps seem to load and be just more listed more simply than with Google. It's like each one is individual and then you can switch between them using their menus. Okay, so let's get to outlook.com. This is one of the one of the main reasons why we would be switching to Office 365 is that get access to a better email system that would allow us for easier management and of users and just better compatibility for mobile applications and synchronization across all dates. So the Outlook.com is one of the better webmails, and you get very similar to the traditional Outlook setup. You get your off calendar, which you can access. You get your people or contacts, and anything that you do on the online Outlook is 100% synchronized to the mobile Outlook app and any Outlook desktop app that you are signed into. So that uses Microsoft's Exchange technology. And basically Office 365 is just Microsoft Exchange already hosted for us on their servers. So for Outlook, let's create a new message. Let's see what that looks like. Well, yes, Outlook has a mobile app and it works very well. Unfortunately, the current Outlook mobile app does not work at all with our current email system. But this will work with pretty much every email application. Yeah, so yeah, we'll just set a new email, and here's our two, and we will. So right now you can see the domain is some @stls on Microsoft. That's just because this is our setup, and once we do the transition, that's when we will all get our @stls.com emails transitioned to this. But it makes it for a lot easier contact management and synchronization. And let's see, and we can attach stuff directly from our OneDrive. So any documents or anything we've been doing will automatically kind of show up, just like in Outlook. If you on the desktop Outlook app, if you've recently been editing something and you go to like attach it, it shows you like your most recent documents. It does that as well on the online version. Okay, let's look at some comments. Okay. So phone, yep. So yeah, we'll get into, most all of this is available for free for personal users as well. You are limited to how much OneDrive storage you get. I think you get 5 gigabytes for free from Microsoft, but anybody can get an Outlook.com email, and then you will get the mobile Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook. You won't get any access to the desktop applications, but you will be able to use Outlook.com and all the Word, Excel, and PowerPoint that I've shown thus far today. It's a good alternative to Google. It's very similar. Microsoft doesn't, I mean, Google said as of like a year and a half ago that they no longer scan emails for information to like better serve ads to you and well. Microsoft, to my knowledge, has never done that. They have one of the more secure cloud environments that's trusted by pretty much every industry. So there's no risk of Microsoft or anybody else getting access to whatever you save in OneDrive unless you accidentally share or get your credentials compromised. One of the main things that we will be doing when we set this up is two-factor authentication. So every user will either have to get like an SMS one-time password after they log in, or most likely you'll have the Microsoft app installed on your phone or some other thing, and you'll just get like, hey, is this you logging in? Yes, that's me. And that will happen for email and all these other web applications. So there's details, Microsoft Exchange, email technology. So everything is synchronized between the desktop application, the website, or webmail, Outlook.com, and the mobile app. Like I said, email folders, contacts, and calendar will all be synchronized between all of those. And one additional feature of Office 365 for like the business account, this is not included in the free version, is SharePoint. SharePoint will traditionally is a company intranet service to allow for an internal calendar and some internal documents and sharing. With SharePoint Online, we can create different sites, so team sites where, so if certain like directors want to collaborate and share files, we can give every like certain users access to this site so they can have a shared calendar together. They can have a shared files that only they have access to amongst themselves as well. And then SharePoint also has access to the calendar. Okay, so here's my files, the news. So yeah, and then like I said, SharePoint also has access to a shared calendar function that will link automatically with the calendar function that is inside of Outlook as well. So let's see all these. And then with the calendar that is listed here, also immediately integrates with Teams. So if you have a Teams meeting or something, it will show up here and you can like immediately schedule or click to change to a Teams call, or we can just switch over here, go to Teams in the apps menu. And wait for it to open. And so Teams is both a mobile app, a desktop app, and a web app. So it can run phone, computer, and an internet browser. Well, it looks like it's really redirecting me. Okay. But yeah, the Teams, that's probably better because that is my Teams and it'll show my messages. But yeah, Teams integrated messaging and calendar. It's the same calendar that is in Outlook and everything. Yeah, so anything that is included in these apps has the ability to share files and information, whether it be your calendar or what else. This admin, Yammer, and Power Automate, you can ignore those. That's just for administrative purposes. It's these top 8 that really matter. Okay, swap back to here. And SharePoint. So yeah, SharePoint with Office 365, allow to share and send files, like I mentioned, which Teams also, so I'm not sure how many locations have messaging on the computers, so employees can message with each other. I know some of our locations have it. If that is something that locations want, not only will they be able to message each other, but other locations as well, and certain things for STLS, we use a quick messaging to handle things that don't quite need an email when you need to contact somebody. Okay. Teams messaging. Man, I'm always like one step ahead of my notes. I should just. Okay, create groups to chat with your employees. Yep, and Teams, like I said, has both the desktop and mobile applications. So if you wanted your employees to have ability to message each other on their phones, but not like text or whatever, it could be Teams on the phone or the computer or the web browser. They all integrated, all the same. I guess that's, let me switch back to Word.
Tom, can I raise some questions from the chat?
Yeah, go for it.
So one from a little bit ago, is there a target date from STLS for when we hope to have this out?
I would love to say by end of this year. We are in communication with Microsoft right now to confirm licensing possibilities and to get as many as we can. We'll have more information in the coming month, but we're hoping by end of year.
Thank you. So let's say I have a personal Outlook account and then I have a work Outlook account. How does that work if you want to be logged into both? Like, can you switch easily between accounts, or do I need to be in my personal one in another browser and work in a different browser? What's the?
Yeah, that it's a little. You can swap between browsers. But once you log into one, if you like log out of the other, it might prompt you to just automatically log in with your other account. Like for instance, I have a personal Outlook account, and let's say when I switch over to this browser, Office.com, let's see what it tries to do. Yeah, see, it automatically logged me into my personal one.
Okay.
So let's just say over here. Yeah, so sign out. The easiest way to do this is just to open up a private tab, and then so you have your personal one in a private tab, and then you can go to sign in, and then it gives you the ability, because a private or incognito tab will just ignore any cached or saved logins.
Great.
Yeah, a personal one you can do incognito tab, but the main one you want to be logged into is the one that you want also to be synchronizing with your desktop applications. So if you have so you mainly want to be logged into your work one, and then for a personal or secondary account, you can open up an incognito tab and then sign in secondarily.
Great, thank you. Larissa asks, will Outlook and Office 365 be able to offer a global address book of all stls.org email addresses for everybody to have access to?
Yes.
Great.
And we can create different lists for that.
Cool.
So
Larissa had another question. If you have the free personal account that they offer, does that 5 GB of storage apply to email storage as well? And then what happens to people who don't regularly clean out their email?
So yeah, personal accounts, the 5 GB is across everything. I can tell you 5 GB goes really far with email unless you are transferring huge video files or pictures. However, I mean, Google the same way in Outlook, when they compress and deduplicate and do a lot of things to really minimize the space that email takes. It's mainly the OneDrive storage, and like documents and pictures that really eat into it. And you'll get, I mean, Microsoft will really warn you if you're getting close to your limit. And it's pretty cheap to upgrade if you did want to, but the 5 gigabyte limit usually works for most people for quite a long time.
So is the 5 gig limit, hi Tom, not what STLS would have?
No, that's at STLS, we would basically be unlimited. Each user would have like a terabyte of storage. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, it's basically unlimited.
Great.
Yikes. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So Melanie asked if we would use Teams instead of GoToMeeting moving forward for things like the Directors Advisory Council, the Digital Library Advisory Group, STLS workshops, things like that.
I don't think so. Teams is good at collaboration and just your daily messaging and screen sharing and file sharing. It's not for meetings and and events and stuff. You need other parts of Microsoft's platform to really make it easy. GoToMeeting is just simpler for large amounts of people. I mean, Teams can do it, but I don't know. It's GoToMeeting and the other and Zoom just seem to have a better handle on guests coming in and just being a one-time session. Whereas some of the Teams guest sessions have been a little not as easy to join, but it's not bad. I mean, people can make, if you want to make your own small session, it's very usable. Lots of features.
Kelly asked if Teams is similar to Slack.
Yeah, Teams is very similar to Slack. I believe the Microsoft took some of the technology from Slack and then integrated it when they were making Teams, because this is like their 4th messaging app. I mean, they had like 2 versions of Skype and then another one, and then Teams was like their 4th try, and so it seems to be good 4th time around.
Great. Mandy asked if our current inboxes would be switched over or would we have to start from scratch?
Yes, we will. I'm just going to stop sharing right now. Current inboxes will be migrated. There will be a weekend or a time when we say, okay, we are migrating. Any email after this point, basically anything incoming, we would create like a hold. So we would freeze the inboxes. Everything will get migrated to the new accounts, and then the next day when you sign in, you would have all your old stuff, and then all the new, and yeah, so it should all come over. We have not started that process, but I looked into it and I did one test, and I was able to transfer all of our existing emails fine. Hopefully we'll be able to do that in like a less than 24-hour period. But for some, it may be you get access to your email and then your old emails show up the next day or 2 days later. But yes, they are not going away. One of our main things that's slowing down the integration of this is our requirement to have full localized backups of our email. And because it's Microsoft 365, I mean, it is like infinitely backed up using cloud methods, but we have to have an accessible backup ourselves for regulatory reasons. So that's one of the things we're working on right now.
Great.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? I recommend everyone, if you don't have enough email accounts already, personal ones, just go to outlook.com or office.com and create a new account and just play around with it. You can get access and see the same stuff if you want to practice ahead of time. You just get used to the interface yourself.
One question, I think you answered this already, Tom.
Yeah.
But like with kind of sensitive things, I never put them in Google. I always put them in a Word document and save them locally to my computer. Would it be just Safe to keep doing that kind of thing once we make this switch? Or just as secure?
Yeah, so the OneDrive storage is individually encrypted and it's locked by your user account. So, I mean, and with the additional two-factor authentication that the accounts will have, it would be equally as hard to get the files off of OneDrive, probably harder than for them to just access your computer or some other way to get them. So I don't have any additional worries about synchronizing local files to OneDrive. It is OneDrive for Business, and it almost all cloud storage, the container is created for you, and then you create the password and you lock the box, and whoever is hosting your cloud storage can't access it. They have to either, they would have to, like, I mean, if the law enforcement really wanted your information, they would break into it probably for law enforcement, but nobody can access your files or at Microsoft or change anything easily. There's always a way, but it's it's one of the more secure setups. I trust it a lot more than putting stuff on Google Drive, which sometimes Google releases updates that like accidentally share all your files with people. Like you don't even need to share stuff on it. So Microsoft's a little more locked down than Google is.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Sally shared a fun story in the chat. She said she had a 10-year-old ask why their document wasn't working, and when she looked at the computer, she realized that they were using Word on the web, and that they had never seen the desktop version. So she figured in that moment that this is the future, and she needs to learn how to run Word online.
Good. That's what we hope.
I've got a question that might be a silly question. So for those with computers that do have desktop versions of Office on them, so like ours have, I think, Office 2016,
Yep.
will that change anything with kind of having both of them?
So no. One of the things we're working out is if the licensing we get will include updated versions of the Office desktop applications. Right now, we purchase Office licensing through TechSoup on a standard licensing model. So all the libraries in STLS have, Office Standard 2016 or 2019. From starting with version 2013 to all the way to the newest ones, they all support integration with Office 365. So any existing computers with 2013 or newer, you will, once you install Teams, basically all you do is you install Teams on the computer or any of the, or OneDrive, and then that creates your link to your new account, and all of the older Office desktop applications, 2013, 2016, and 2019, will all then integrate with your Office 365. But I guess we don't know yet if the new 365 licensing will include desktop applications for everybody. Mainly we want it for email, Teams messaging, and just more secure collaboration and calendar use. But if we can get desktop licensing from it as well, then that would be great.
Tom, I have a quick question to add on that. But if we still, the library can still purchase its own license for the desktop version if STLS doesn't get those, and we can still log into the desktop OneDrive, correct, through those apps?
Yeah. Yeah, so any computer that just needs Office, because I mean, mainly these accounts are going to be for every STLS employee, or mainly our library employee. So the licensing for computers, we're not sure how that's going to exactly work out. But I guess if you have Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on if if we do get licensing with the 365, if we will also get individual licensing for the computers. Because I mean, if you have 4 employees and then 4 staff computers, that would cover your desktop licensing to log each one of those into. And then because when you log in, it provides you access to the latest versions of the apps. Whereas if we just kept our old desktop licensing, we would have the old versions of the apps, but it's integrating with through Office 365 and the newer stuff. But if we are getting Office desktop licensing through 365, the desktop apps will take on a little new look. They look a little bit different and they are more updated. But that's just something I am not 100% sure about at this time.
I just meant like even if walk-ins, if we already have our licensing for desktop, I should still be able to log into my OneDrive account on those, even if the library purchased it, right? They're all connected no matter what.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, what OneDrive account? I mean, you guys have a existing Microsoft.
I know.
365?
I'm actually thinking about Jess, who's on the call, because I know she used to use OneDrive all the time to save documents from the desktop app. So I'm assuming you can do that with whatever login you have.
Yeah. So I mean, if she's probably using, I mean, a personal or whatever Office account. So yeah. If you are using an existing one, you would move over to logging into OneDrive on the new account. You can't have 2 OneDrive sessions on the same user. You'd have to have like a different Windows user account. Mainly, we just you just transfer the files from the old OneDrive to the new OneDrive account.
Great. Well, thank you, Tom, for doing this, and thanks all of you for coming to the session. And we're really excited. I hope that we're able to work out the back end stuff and get this implemented pretty soon.